Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing great. I got some bad news for you. It's not the end of the world though, but it's just making sure the end of the world gets to us a little bit sooner, okay? And this is out of CNN. And the reason why I want to bring this story, it's about a massive $1.7 trillion federal spending bill. And I want to bring it to you from CNN because they lie. And so if we can find the truth out of the lie, then we know we're doing good. And I'm going to show you how this is going to affect you. All right, here we go. Here's what is in the 1.7 trillion federal spending bill. Gosh darn it. You know, I'm reading it with you and you got to think, is CNN really going to tell us about all the amazing things? No, they're not. But the facts are they're going to push this through super fast. The government, you know, the people that were elected that shouldn't be elected because there should be term limits. They're going to push this through super fast and they're going to make it sound really rosy. And then we're going to find out all the crap that comes in on the back end. All right, here we go. Now, this is what CNN says is in the bill. Senate leaders unveiled a 1.7 trillion year-long federal government funding bill early Tuesday morning. Guys, the funding bill is 1.7 trillion for the year. Now let's think about that. Do you remember what it was like back in 2008? Hey, the economy's falling apart. How much you need? Yeah, 700 billion. now the government, you know, spends a lot of money and they always have. But the point being is that back then they were spending a lot less than they are now, right? That means your dollar is worth less because they're printing more and borrowing more, right? They're taking more of your taxes. Very scary stuff. It says the legislation includes $772 billion for non-defense discretionary programs and $858 billion in defense funding, according to a bill summary from Democratic Senator Patrick Leahy. I don't care what a cherry's on or what cherry's sitting in. Guarantee you it's not worth what it's sewn in. Sweeping package. The sweeping package includes roughly $45 billion in emergency assistance to Ukraine and NATO allies, boosts in spending for disaster aid, college access, childcare, mental health, food assistance. Hold on, I want you to stop here for a second. Money's going to Ukraine because we have a proxy war with Russia. Let's make that very, very clear. More money for college access and things like that. In our world, we have to be very clear. There is things that need money funding. There are people that need help, all right? The problem is when you're always feeding the bears and giving people more and more and more assistance, even down to cell phones. Like, dude, you need a cell phone. We're going to pay for that, right? People need mental help. I agree. But people also need mental help because they got to get past their inability to take care of themselves. There are a lot of people out there that need to learn how to make a living for themselves and feel that pride of hard work, a good type of pride, not the pride that comes before a fall, a good type of pride that you stand up and you go, I am taking care of myself. And now not only am I taking care of myself, I'm taking care of others, right? The problem is the government likes to buy votes. And this is one of those ways, I'm telling you, there are things hidden inside of this. Problem is, it's very hard to find it because I can't just grab the bill and read it right now. That we're going to find out later, right? Sorry, I digress, but people need to understand that this is being pushed through during the Christmas season when news watching and social media views are extremely low. There is a malaise over our country right now, and people need to understand how serious this is, all right? We do not need this kind of spending bill that's getting pushed through super fast in a time where people aren't paying attention, they're at home and getting ready for the holidays, to be shoved down our throat so that we can fund proxy wars with Russia. Now it says right here, the spending bill is the product of lengthy negotiations between top congressional Democrats and Republicans. Lawmakers reached a bipartisan bicameral framework. I don't even know what that word is. I should have went to Coolidge. Last week, following a dispute between two parties over how much money should be spent on non-defense domestic priorities. They worked through the weekend to craft legislation. Well, of course they did, because they want to be able to shove this thing right down the throat of all the congressmen that need to vote for this while nobody's paying attention during Christmas. The Senate is expected to vote first to approve the deal this week, and then it gets sent off to the House for approval before government funding runs out on December 23rd. Look at this. The bill would keep the government operating through September, the end of the fiscal year. Congress originally passed a continuing resolution on September 30th to temporarily fund the government in fiscal year 2023, which became October 1st. So here we go. Here's what's in the bill. We'll go through it real quick. More aid for Ukraine. The spending bill would provide roughly $45 billion to help support Ukraine's efforts. So that's on top of, I guess, all the Patriot missiles and all that kind of stuff, right? All right. $45 billion. About $9 billion of the funding would go to Ukraine's military to pay for a variety of things, including training, weapons, logistics support, and salaries. Emergency disaster assistance. The bill would appropriate more than $38 billion in emergency funding to help Americans in the West and Southeast affected by recent natural disasters, including tornado, hurricanes, and flooding. Overhaul for the electoral vote counting law. Let me ask you this. Do you think that money is going to be well spent? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think so. It says right here, a provision in the legislation aims at making it harder to overturn a certified presidential election. Oh man, that's starting to make sense now, ain't it? In a direct response to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Oh, I just said it. This video ain't going anywhere now. Just said that special date, the key word. The changes would overhaul the 1887 Electoral Count Act, which then, oh man, you guys, I can't stand CNN. All right, we're gonna stop reading that crap. Funding for the January 6th attack prosecutions. Woo! Boy, it just keeps on getting better, don't it? Funding. The bill would provide $2.6 billion for the U.S. attorneys, which would include funding efforts to further support prosecutions related to the January 6th attack. Hey, just curious, you guys think that some attorneys need $2.6 billion of your tax-paying dollars to prosecute people for January 6th? I want to know that. I want to know. Do you think it's worth $2.6 billion? What would happen if you took that $2.6 billion? You know what? I'm going to leave that up to you. Because there's so many different ways we could spend $2.6 billion. It's insane. There's an aging infrastructure, energy infrastructure going on right now. Could put it towards that, but that'd go pretty far. See, the sad thing is all this money, people have their grubby little hands in it. Government contractors that are charging copious amounts of money, just egregious amounts of money for their services. And they're all related. It just absolutely just makes me disgusted. Changes to Medicaid and other healthcare programs. The spending bill would phase out the requirement that prevented states from disenrolling Medicaid recipients as long as the national public health emergency was in effect in exchange for an enhanced federal match. This continuous coverage measure was enacted as part of COVID-19 relief package passed in March of 2020 and has led to a record 90 million Medicaid enrollees. All right, how about this? Higher maximum Pell Grant awards. The bill would increase the maximum Pell Grant award by $500 to $7,395 for the coming school year. This would be the largest boost since the 2009-2010 school year. About 7 million students, many from lower income families, receive Pell Grants every year to help them afford college. Do you guys know why, a little tip here, why college is so expensive? It's because over the year, through grants and through student loans, debt, colleges are able to charge more because they know it's just like colleges are now used car salesmen. They go, yeah, you want to buy this car, this Corvette? Like, yeah, I want to buy it, but I can't afford it. Yeah, you can, because instead of a 4-year loan, we're going to give you an 8. The payments are in half. And you're like, oh, and then they're going to charge you even more interest rate because it's double the loan. Just like college. Think about it. I can afford it. And then you've got people leaving college right now with so much student debt, even like doctors with so much student debt, they're in debt for like 20 years. They can't even get ahead. Man, it's like, it would almost have been better if you would have became a welder, a carpenter, a tradesman, electrician, and you start right out making over 6 figures. Crazy. It says increase, now I 100% agree with this, increase support for the military and veterans. The package would fund 4.6% pay raise for our troops and 22.4% increase in support for veteran administration Medicare, medical care, which provides health services for 7.3 million veterans. 100% I agree with that. So now wait a minute, hold on now. Let's go back through this. It would include nearly $53 billion to address higher inflation and a $2.7 billion, a 25% increase to support critical services and housing assistance for veterans and families. So check this out. 2.7 billion is going to go it's going to be able to cause a 25% increase to help veterans and service members with housing. Now think about this. That's the same amount as they want to pay attorneys to prosecute. I think you should spend that money on the veterans. Beefing up nutrition assistance. The legislation would establish a permanent nationwide summer EBT program starting in the summer of 2024. According to Share Our Strength, an anti-hunger advocacy group, would provide families whose children are eligible for free reduced price school meal with a 40% grocery benefit per child per month indexed to inflation. Hey, check this out. You got problems our country feeding people? You know what you should do? Stop limiting farmers on what they can grow, where they can grow it. Open it up. Let everybody be able to grow things. Let everybody be able to have cattle and sheep and raise animals for meat, things like that, which would lower drastically the price of food. Then people have more independence. They're able to make more money, so they have independence that way. And then people that are buying the foods, the vegetables, the wheat, the hay, the meat, all that kind of stuff, it's less. Boy, it's almost like it would just solve a lot of problems right there. More money for childcare. The legislation would provide $8 billion for childcare and development block grant, a 30% increase in funding. The grant gives financial assistance to low-income families to afford child care. Also, Head Start would receive nearly $12 billion, an 8.6% boost. The program helps young children from low-income families prepare for school. Now, I completely agree with that. I like that. But here's the problem, and I'm going to stop reading this slop right here. And I say it's slop because all they're doing is tugging on the heartstrings. Tugging on the heartstrings of the American people. This is good. This is good. What you don't realize is all of the little things that are added in the back side of this. And that's what's very important you need to understand. There are things that are back there taking away tax benefits from people that are producing people in this country that have businesses or side hustles. And then it's also going to add to tax. So as they take away, they give you something, they're also going to take something over here. So you have to remember that. There's always a give and a take with the government because the government only can make money one way, stealing it from you. Boy, you gotta love that. All right, guys, let me know down in the comment section what you think about this. I think that this spending bill is egregious. I think it is way too much, and I think the grubby little hands in the government are just gonna nibble it all up. And before you know it, they're gonna need another emergency spending bill. All right, guys, that being said, the Economic Ninja is out.